Greetings, Israel. As promised, we are here live and nobody's here, so we're going to wait around for a few minutes. We don't want anybody to miss any of this. So I'm Yuda.
I'm Marina.
So how you guys doing today? And if anybody has any problem hearing us, let us know before we get too involved. I don't know how much internet I have right now. Hopefully we can make it through this because this is going to be a pretty good, lengthy lesson. So let me ask you guys, did anybody get a chance to watch the video, Watch the Water? If anybody got a chance to see that, please let me know. Because what these people are doing, well, they're not people, but what they're doing is pure wicked. So we're going to wait around a little longer. Hopefully somebody shows up. We scheduled this for 7:05, so we're a couple of minutes early. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by reading from the Baruch, book 2, in the Sefer. And it is a revelation given to Baruch. Throughout this reading and throughout this study, you guys are going to find out a lot of things that I think fairly say that not many people are aware of. Throughout this reading, you're also going to see proof of no New Testament. You're also going to see the book and what the Most High says himself about his book. I guess, with that being said, you ready? Mm-hmm. So my wife is going to read as usual, and she's going to do quite a bit of elaboration because she did a lot of the research. So she'll be able to explain a lot of it, but I'm going to be right there. So here we go.
This book of Baruch is a gift. It's actually a gift to Israel because he was a witness and he actually spoke with the Most High and discussed this. So this is the revelation of Baruch, and it's in the book, in the Sefer Bible, and it's book 2. I'll be speaking starting from chapter 1. And it came to pass in the 25th year of Yechonyahu, which was king of Yehuda, that the word of the Most High came to Baruch, the son of Neriyahu, and said to him, this is the Most High talking to Baruch. Mm-hmm. Have you seen all that this people are doing to me? Mm. That the evils which these 2 tribes which remain have done are greater than those of the 10 tribes which were carried away captive.
Now, let's talk about that for a minute. Read that first part of that one more time.
Have you seen?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you seen all that this people are doing to me? That the evils which these 2 tribes.
These 2 tribes. Let's find out who these 2 tribes are.
Which remain have done are greater than those of the 10 tribes.
Of the 10 tribes.
Which were carried away captive.
Okay. You know, Judah and Levi was the southern kingdom. The 10 tribes was the northern kingdom. So these 2 tribes that the Most High is talking about right now are Judah and Levi. The 10 tribes are the ones that was carried away to a far-off land that had not been seen by man, which is Ashereth, which is America.
Yes.
Okay.
For the former tribes as you just explained.
Yeah.
For the former tribes were forced,
Who me? Hello, who me?
the former tribes were forced by their kings
Mhm.
to commit sin.
Yes.
Those 10 tribes were forced to commit sin.
They were forced.
They were forced. But the Most High is saying these two of themselves
Judah and Levi.
have been forcing and compelling their kings to commit sin.
This is the reason that we went into captivity under such harsh punishment. Judah and Levi, they forced the kings to commit sins. Now, how do you like that?
And the Most High says, for this reason, behold, I bring evil upon this city and upon its inhabitants, and it shall be removed from before me for a time.
Who brought evil?
The Most High.
Ah.
And I will scatter this people among the other nations, that they may do good to the other nations.
Now, y'all check that out. He's going to scatter these people so that they may do good for the nations that hate them.
So they're not doing any good to the Most High.
They wasn't serving the Most High, so he says, okay, you don't want to serve me, I'll send you over there to your enemies, and they're going to make you do good. Okay.
And my people shall be chastened, and the time shall come when they will seek for the prosperity of their times.
Prosperity, that is generations.
Yes. Okay.
Now we're gonna, if we pause along the way, that's because we've taken notes. This is 20 chapters. So we're both old people and we don't have memories that hold a lot of water. You know, we got some holes in our memories. So we have to keep notes in order for us to make sure that we get all the meat off this bone, because Baruch, from the beginning of this book all the way to chapter 87, is awesome. And y'all are going to find out that everything that I've been teaching about no priesthood, about the New Testament, about the revelation of the real Christ, all of this is going to come out in this book.
And I just did a little note on chapter 1. It's basically, it's for the punishment of the sins of the 12 tribes and Judah and Levi. That's what is the Most High is telling Baruch. There's going to be a punishment for this, and that's the reason why. So for chapter 2, in this chapter, the righteous are asked to leave the city, for they're hindering the Most High to destroy the city.
Now, in case y'all don't understand what that means, the righteous at this time, at this point in time, they don't really understand what the Most High is doing, so they're praying for other results. They don't want the Most High to do what he's about to do. And since they are righteous people, the Most High has to answer their prayer. And he had to tell Baruch, look, man, you need to get over here and get out of the way. You don't understand what I'm doing. And if you keep praying, I can't do what I got to do. So this is what he's talking about when he mentions the righteous.
So in chapter 2, this is exactly what he says to them. For I have said these things to you, that you may tell Jeremiah and all those that are like you to retire from this city.
From this city. Get out of here.
For your works are to this city as a firm pillar.
Yeah, their prayers are so powerful. Why are they so powerful? Because they're righteous. Listen, if you are sticking to this book, if you are keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, the Most High has to answer your prayer. He has to. And he's going to show you things that otherwise you wouldn't be able to see. All because of you being righteous. This is what's going on. Are you jumping down?
I'm here.
I know, but did we finish one?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right.
So for your works are to this city as a firm pillar. and your prayers as a strong wall.
Oh, your prayers are a
They
strong wall.
getting in the way.
Getting in my way. They don't understand what the Most High is about to do. And it just, to them, it's like he fixing to destroy the whole world.
I think that's amazing that the righteous who have that much power in their prayer and their trust in the Most High can deter the Most High.
Yeah, yeah. I know that may sound a little over the top, but you can actually slow him down. If you're a righteous person and you really honestly don't understand what he's doing, you approach him in prayer and he's going to stop what he's doing for the moment and he's going to listen to you and then he's going to try to explain to you. Now you got to remember, we can't think like him, but he will take the time out for the righteous man or woman and he will try, like he did Baruch. He will try to explain, listen, this needs to be done. Yes. Even though you don't understand why, if you don't get out of the way, you are going to hurt yourself because what I'm about to do is for you, not against you.
So in chapter 3, my little note about chapter 3 is Baruch does not want to live and witness Mother Earth's destruction.
Yeah,
I said Mother Earth's destruction.
Yeah. You want to talk about Mother Earth there for a second? Or you want to wait till later?
Well, Mother Earth is where Adam was born.
Okay. To make sure you understand what's going on here, when Baruch actually wanted to die because his mother, he didn't want his mother to see this evil. Who was his mother? He's talking about the land, the earth. Remember Adam. Adam was created from what? The dust of the ground. That means Adam was born of the soil. That made the soil Adam's mother. So this is what he's saying. This is what Baruch is talking about when he calls the land his mother.
So he believes that, or he's thinking, is this the end of life on earth as we know it? What happened to the Most High's promise to Moses?
Yeah,
so
he's asking all kind of questions. Yeah, remember what you told Moses? You know, so if you do all this that you about to do, ain't you gonna be breaking your word? You know?
Right, exactly. So, and Marie.
Hello, Sister Jackie. Hello. Thank the Most High. We love you too. Yeah, pray. Yeah, keep praying for us.
So in chapter 3, it says, and I said, O Most High, my God, have I come into the world for this purpose, that I might see the evils of my mother?
Baruch is so confused right now. You going to destroy my mother? This is earth now. The mother of us, our mother is this earth. And we're going to find out later on a little bit more about that earth and exactly who she is.
So he says, not so, my God, if I have found grace in your sight, first take my spirit that I may go to my fathers and not behold the destruction of my mother.
Baruch is ready to go, y'all. He don't want to see this.
For two things vehemently constrain me. And that is, for I cannot resist you. He's saying, I cannot resist the Most High.
You can't resist him.
And my soul, moreover, cannot behold the evils of my mother.
See, he's still talking about the earth, the evils of my mother. This earth is Israel's mom. Y'all got to get this. This earth is Israel's mother.
It's going to get deeper.
It's going to get,
deeper.
Listen, y'all, by the time we get to chapter 87, y'all's mind's going to be blown.
We're only going to 20 though.
Yeah, we're doing 20 chapters at a time, and that's probably going to be longer than these two old people can handle. But listen, this whole book, listen, y'all are going to find out some things that I want to tell you so bad. Let's keep going.
Okay.
Let's keep going.
So, but one thing I will say in your presence, he always considers the Most High's, I don't know if I should say feelings, but demeanor, but he's saying, he's always saying, well, I want to say this in your presence.
Yeah.
If I can say this in your presence.
If you just let me say this.
So he says, but one thing I will say in your presence, O Most High, what, therefore, will there be after these things?
Yeah. After you did, see, Baruch thinks Most High is going to destroy the world.
Yes.
This is where his mind is right now. He's thinking this is all going to be destroyed. Nothing is going to be left. So what's going to happen after you do this? You know, listen to what he says next.
For if you destroy your city and deliver up your land to those that hate us, how shall the name of Yasharel be again remembered?
Yeah. What are the people going to say about you after you do all this to your own people?
Or how shall one speak of your praises? Or to whom shall that which is in your Torah is explained? Who's going to explain the Torah to us?
Listen, I want y'all to write down every time you hear Torah. And I want you to also write down anytime you hear anything about another book. Let's keep it.
Or shall the world, oh, this is something.
Yeah.
Or shall the world return to its nature as of before time, and the age revert to primeval silence?
He's saying, so everything is going to go back to as it was during creation, to nothing, because that's what Baruch is thinking. You're going to take us back to nothing? You're going to just let these people come in here and just make you shut it all down? What about the promise you made to Moses?
Okay, we'll get to that.
Okay.
And shall the multitude of souls be taken away, and the nature of man not again be named? And where is all that which you did say to Moses regarding us?
Remember what you told Moses. You didn't tell Moses you was going to destroy all this. That you going to have to rethink this. This is, y'all got to understand, Baruch is as innocent as he can be. He honestly don't know what's happening. He don't understand why it's happening. But he don't get the fact that it's for his good. It's for the good of Israel all together.
Okay. So chapter 4. Some of these chapters are very short.
Yeah.
And some of them are very long. So it's easy for me to do a little synopsis of each chapter.
Yeah. Like I said, we're old, so we kind of have to remind ourselves to remember something.
So in chapter 4, before I get to that, I wrote, the Most High does not plan to destroy the world, but remove all privileges from his people for a time until he brings forth paradise again.
We're going to talk about that paradise. But see, this cancels out this New Testament book of Revelation when people have gotten the idea that the whole world is going to be destroyed. Well, no, it's not. It's going to change as we know it. Everything that we know now will change. It will end as we know it. But that will be the beginning for Jacob, because the Most High says that the ending is Esau, the beginning is Jacob. So
it's chapter 4.
Chapter 4, okay.
So the Most High said unto me, okay, listen, this city shall be delivered up for a time.
For a time.
And the people shall be chastened during a time. Just during a time, not forever. And the world will not be given over to oblivion.
It ain't going to be destroyed. It ain't going to be destroyed.
Do you think that this is that city of which I said?
Now, this is the Most High talking to Baruch.
On the palms of my hands have I made you.
Oh, wow.
This building now built in your midst is not that which is revealed with me, that which was prepared beforehand here from the time when I took counsel to make paradise.
Paradise is going to get better.
And showed it to Adam.
Showed it to Adam.
Before he sinned.
Before he sinned. Do we know what he's talking about right about now? Paradise. Showed it to Adam before he sinned. Where was Adam? Garden of Eden. Paradise.
Yeah.
Most High reserved it. He moved it. He put it aside.
He showed it to him before he had sinned. But when he transgressed the commandment, it was removed from him as also paradise.
Kente, peace, family.
So,
yeah, he removed paradise from Adam. And he also showed, well, I don't want to give it up.
Well, I like to highlight something I just saw here.
Okay.
Adam, it says it showed it to Adam before he sinned, but when he transgressed the commandment.
Right.
Adam.
Right.
Had commandments.
Yeah. Okay. So now, see, this is the way it happens for us. When we're studying, we don't get to see everything all at once. So this is why we a lot of times go back and we'll read the same book again. And each time we do, just like now, we just found out Adam had commandments. Now, we've been taught that the commandments didn't come until Moses. Well, we just see right here, as you guys found it out the same time we did, Adam had commandments.
And it comes to mind that the Torah was given to the generations
yes.
of Adam.
Yeah, given to the generation of Adam. Read that part one more time where you get down to where Adam was transgressed commandments. I want y'all to hear this again.
This building now built in your midst is not that which is revealed with me, that which was prepared beforehand here from the time when I took counsel to make paradise and showed it to Adam before he sinned. But when he transgressed the commandment, it was removed from him as also paradise.
So you see, Adam was under the law of commandments. He had commandments. It didn't start with Moses. It was reiterated with Moses.
Okay. And after these things, I showed it to my servant Abraham.
Abraham saw it.
By night, among the portions of the victims. And again, also I showed it to Moses.
Oh, Moses.
Vessels and all its vessels. And now behold, it is preserved with me.
Preserved with him. He's got it in reservation. It's sitting there waiting. Waiting on what? Waiting on us.
As also paradise. So he's telling Baruch, go, therefore, and do as I command you. All right. So we're going on to number 5.
Number 5.
I put a little note here about 5.
Okay.
Baruch is explaining to the Most High what the Most High already knows, what the conditions will be to execute judgment on everyone. So now he's asking, he says, and I answered and said, okay, so then I am destined to grieve for Zion, for your enemies will come to this place and pollute your sanctuary and lead your inheritance into captivity. Am I getting this straight? And make themselves masters of those whom you have loved, and they will depart again to the place of their idols. These are the nations.
Yeah.
He's saying, and they will depart again to the place of their idols and will boast before them, and what will you do for your great name? He's like, okay, and am I getting this right? All these people are going to be taken away. They're going to be living with these heathens, and worshiping their idols,
Their gods,
and they are going to boast
and so
in front of us.
and so what are people gonna say about you?
Yeah.
You know, where's your power?
Yes. He says, and the Most High said unto me, this is good. He answers Baruch and he says, my name and my glory are unto all eternity.
Never stop.
And my judgment shall maintain its right in its own time.
In its own time. Not Baruch's time, not your time, not my time, in his own time. All of this is not going anywhere. It's going to be where it is until we enter into that kingdom.
So he's telling Baruch, and you shall see with your eyes that the enemy will not overthrow Zion, nor shall they burn Jerusalem, but be the ministers of the judge for that time. So we figured out who the ministers are and who the judge is.
Yeah.
The judge is King Nebuchadnezzar. And the ministers are the people, the taskmasters or whoever.
Right. The foot soldiers, so to speak.
They're the ones that's making things happen.
Yeah.
He says, but do go and do whatsoever I have said unto you. And I went and I took Jeremiah and Adu and Serayahu, Yavish, and Gadola Yahud, and all the honorable men of the people. And I led them to the valley of Kedron. And I narrated to them all that had been said to me. And they lifted up their voice, and they all wept. And we sat there and fasted until the evening. So he told them everything that the Most High explained to them, or to him, what was going to happen to Jerusalem. And Baruch is in unbelief.
Yeah.
So there's going to be more questions that he has, because he is simply not getting it. He's
not getting it, man. Not yet.
Okay, so in chapter 6, in chapter 6, Baruch witnessed with his own eyes how the Most High destroyed Zion and Jerusalem by way of his servants, angels.
Now,
those are his servants.
Baruch was under the impression that Nebuchadnezzar's men, ministers and judges and all, were going to be the ones to destroy Zion. That's what Baruch thought. But what was really happening is the Most High had already called his angels to come and take care of this. But without going too far ahead of us, there are some things that happened before the Most High let this happen.
Right.
So we're going to keep reading so that you can see this whole picture unfold, and you will understand what happened, why it happened.
Okay, so this again is in Baruch, book number 2.
In the Sefer,
and I'm in chapter 6. And it came to pass on the morrow that, lo, the army of the Kasdim surrounded the city. And at that time of the evening, I, Baruch, left the people. He left Jeremiah and all those other elders. He left them, and he went forth and he stood by an oak tree that was near the city. And I was grieving over Zion and lamenting over the captivity which had come upon the people. And lo, suddenly a strong spirit raised me and bore me aloft over the wall of Jerusalem. So he was, I guess, hovering.
Yeah, that's what aloft means. Up high. Before you go further, let me lost my thought. Oh, you got to understand something about Baruch. As we go deeper into this entire book, you may start to realize Baruch doesn't realize that some of this prophecy that he's hearing, some of the things he's witnessing, those particular things are in his time. But some of the prophecies that he's getting is for today. Mm-hmm. And as we get deeper into this book, this is going to be a 5-part lesson. I know I told y'all previously that it was going to be a 4-part, but I miscalculated. It's going to be 5 parts. The last part is going to be 7 chapters. Baruch is getting revelation for today. And it's going, when we get to it, I'm going to make it so clear you can't miss it. So without going too far ahead of ourselves, let's go back to chapter 6.
Okay, so he's now hovering over the wall of Jerusalem. And I beheld, and lo, 4 angels standing at the 4 corners of the city, each of them holding a torch of fire in his hands. And another angel began to descend from heaven and said unto them, hold your lamps and do not light them till I tell you, for I am first sent to speak a word to the earth and to place in it what the Most High, Lord of hosts, has commanded me. Mm. And I saw him descend into the Holy of Holies and take from there the veil. Remember, this is in the temple. The veil, the holy ark, the mercy seat, the 2 tables, the holy raiment of the priests, and the altar of incense, and the 48 precious stones wherewith the priest was adorned, and all the holy vessels of the tabernacle. And he spoke to the earth. This is an angel. He spoke to the earth. He's talking to the earth with a loud voice. Earth, 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 hear the word of the Most High, and receive what I commit to you, and guard them until the last times. Guard them until our time.
Yeah. All this stuff that he just removed from this tabernacle has been swallowed up by the earth and hidden. So these stories that we've heard in the past, sometimes in the movies they talk about, they found this and they found the mercy seat and the Ark of the Covenant. Yeah. That's all lies. The Most High says this is buried in the earth and nobody can find it.
So this is what actually happened. He said, the word of the Most High, and receive what I commit to you, and guard them until the last times. Mm-hmm. So that when you are ordered, when the earth is ordered, you may restore them. You may give them back, so that strangers may not get possession of them. There's your clue that strangers can't get possession of them because they're buried.
They're buried.
And all these people, these archaeologists saying that they dug down to the ground and found all these artifacts. They're lying.
They're lying.
They're making that up.
They're lying. You can't find when the Most High hides something.
Yeah.
He can hide it right in your face. You ain't gonna see it.
Exactly. So it says, for the time comes when Jerusalem also will be delivered for a time, until it is said that it is again restored forever. And the earth opened its mouth and swallowed them up. Opened its mouth and swallowed everything that was removed out of the temple.
Now, how is some man gonna come dig up something the Most High buried? I mean, come on. Let's be real. It ain't happening.
So in chapter 7, I wrote just a little note here. Yeah. Their enemy had nothing to boast about destroying God's house.
Yeah, let me explain what that means. These 4 angels that was mentioned standing on each corner of the what was it?
On the wall.
On the wall, mm-hmm. that had the torches in their hands, mm-hmm. and the one angel that came down, they gave them the go ahead. They by the order of the Most High, destroyed that wall.
Okay.
Am I giving up too much?
Oh, yes.
Oh,
Because we're getting there. I'm going to tell them how they did it.
okay.
So, and after these things, I heard that the angel saying unto those angels who held the lamps, destroy and therefore and overthrow its wall to its foundations. So they destroyed the walls all the way down to the foundations, lest the enemy should boast and say, we have overthrown the wall of Zion, and we have burnt the place of the Most High, and you have seized the place where I have been standing before.
So now I just want to make sure that they get a clear picture of what just happened. These enemies, they actually think they destroyed this. The Most High set the whole thing up. He destroyed it before they got there, and he left standing what he wanted standing, so they would think that they did all of this, and they know they didn't do it. Mm-hmm. But they couldn't go away and boast, we destroyed the Most High's tabernacle and his walls and whatnot. They couldn't brag because the Most High had his angels take care of it.
So for instance, if you tear down a wall and all is crumbled down on the ground, and they go in and it's already done, they just go crush the wood.
Yeah, they just break a few more rocks. Okay, we did it.
So now in 8, the Chaldeans, they came in and plundered the leftovers. You hear what I said? Leftovers.
Yeah.
And took captive the rest of the people and their king. So here's chapter 8. Now the angels did as he had commanded them, and when they had broken up the corners of the walls, a voice was heard from the interior of the temple. You guys hear this? A voice came from the interior of the temple.
Listen to what the voice said.
After the wall had fallen. So when the wall fell, the voice came out of the temple and said, enter, you enemies.
Come in, enemies.
And come, ye adversaries. For he who kept the house has forsaken it.
Already done destroyed it.
Gosh. Yeah. And I, Baruch, departed.
Now y'all listen. Right now, this ain't got hot yet, but we got to go through this to get to the juicy. So y'all bear with us. We got 5 of these to go through. Bear with us, because I promise you, after we get into the second 20 chapters, it's gonna get hot up in here.
You know how the movie gets started?
Yeah. You know, when you start watching a movie, you know, the best part don't come at the very beginning. It always warms you up to it. And then once the action starts, it's all shoot. Man, hold on. So we're trying to take this slow, and we're both anxious to get to the meat. But hey, man, let's just take this one step at a time. Okay. Y'all don't miss none of this. I know this might be a tad bit on the boring side, but trust me, this is going somewhere.
So in chapter 9, Baruch and Jeremiah left that area and fasted for 7 days.
Okay, before you go any further, I want to mention this too, just to pique your interest. We're going to get into later on in the other chapters that's coming. We're going to help you understand the truth about fleeing Babylon. We're going to help you see why you shouldn't be in fear if you're still caught up in Babylon. We're going to explain as we go who should be in fear and who shouldn't be in fear. All right, I'm not going to give up any more than that, but this is coming on the next 20 chapters, I think.
So chapter 9 is very quick. It's only 2 scriptures. And I, Baruch, came, and Jeremiah, whose heart was found pure from sins, who had not been captured in the seizure of the city. So even though Jeremiah and Baruch were there, they weren't taken.
No, they
captive.
weren't taken yet. They were still able to move around freely.
So he says, and we rent our garments, we wept and mourned and fasted 7 days. They tore their clothes. They were so distraught.
They were heartbroken, man, because they saw it wasn't nothing they could do but just pass the message.
Imagining witnessing those
Yeah.
angels actually destroying your city.
Wow. And all you can do is watch.
So it came to pass after 7 days that the word of the God.
This is chapter 10.
Yes, chapter 10. And it came to pass after 7 days that the word of the Most High came to me and said unto me, tell Jeremiah to go and support the captivity of the people unto Babylon.
Now remember, Jeremiah and Baruch are still freely walking around. They're not in captivity with the rest. But now he's telling Baruch to tell Jeremiah, go and serve Nebuchadnezzar. It's time for you to go into captivity. So Jeremiah surrendered. He wasn't caught or trapped. He surrendered and he walked into his captivity. So in other words, when I teach, as all the lessons in my past about you cannot go around your punishment. You have to go through your punishment. If you go try to go around it, it's never going to stop. You're just going to keep making a vicious cycle. And it's never going to end until you wake up and realize the only way out is through it. So Jeremiah realized, let me go turn myself in.
Okay, so now the Most High is telling Baruch, he says, but do remain here. He's telling him to remain amid the desolation of Zion. And I will to you, after these days, what will befall at the end of days.
See what I mean? When I told you that he was getting prophecy, that was not only for his time, but he was getting prophecy for our time.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the meat that we get to in these other coming chapters.
So, and Baruch said to Jeremiah, as the Most High commanded me. And I said to Jeremiah, as the Most High commanded me. And he indeed departed with the people, the other elders that he was with. But I, Baruch, returned and sat before the gates of the temple, and I lamented with the following lamentation over Zion and said. So Jeremiah and the other people, they left, and it's now Baruch is the only one left behind. Okay, so he said, this was his prayer. Blessed is he who was not born, or he who, having been born, has died. So they didn't have to go through all this. But as for us who live, woe unto us, because we see the afflictions of Zion and what has befallen Jerusalem. I will call the sirens from the sea and the Lelands.
Y'all know what sirens are? These are what they call today mermaids. Shalom, Anthony Johnson. How you doing, brother? The sirens are what they call today mermaids. What else was it?
The definition was dangerously fascinating woman.
These things are real. They are around you all the time, but they look just like you. A lot of them have these bright colored hair, red, orange, green, and a lot of our people, a lot of our women are doing this to their hair, have no idea that they're mimicking a siren. That's not a good idea, because that's how the Most High is going to see you. When you portray yourself as that monster, the Most High is going to see you as that monster. But a siren is in most cases, beautiful female, very lurid, very what's the word I'm looking for? Captivating. Okay, you as a man could be involved with one of these things and don't even know, because they have all the features of a natural woman, but they're not. They're not human. You got to understand something. We live on a world where there are human beings and there are animals. Everything that walks on 2 feet and have 2 hands, eyes, ears, nose, mouth, and are not human. You got to understand that.
Okay. So I will call the sirens from the sea, and ye lilies come ye from the desert, and ye devils and dragons from the forest.
Devils and dragons from the forest.
Awake and gird up your loins unto mourning, and take up with me the dead, and make lamentation with me. You husbandmen, sow not again, and O earth, wherefore give your harvest fruits. So there won't be any more farmers. There won't be anything to harvest. He says, keep within you the sweets of your sustenance. So everything that was produced on that land, he's telling the land, you keep it now.
Keep it. Don't produce it.
It's not going to be any good to anybody. And you, vine, why further do you give your wine? For an offering will not again be made therefrom in Zion. Nor will the first fruits again be offered. And do you, O heavens, withhold your dew, and open not the treasuries of rain? And do, O sun, withhold the light of your rays? And do, O moon, extinguish the multitude of your light? For why should light rise again where the light of Zion is darkened? And you bridegrooms, enter not in, and let not the brides adorn themselves with garlands. And you women, pray, not that you may bear. Don't pray to have children. For the barren shall above all rejoice, and those who have no sons shall be glad, and those who have sons shall have anguish. And you know, a lot of Black mothers have anguish over their sons making it to their 30s.
Yeah.
That's a reality. For why should they bear children in pain, only to bury them in grief? Or why again should mankind have sons? For what? Or why should the seed of their kind again be named, where this mother, the earth, this mother is desolate?
Here we go.
And her sons are led into captivity.
Whose sons led into who got led into captivity? Who is earth talking about? You see what I mean about the earth is our mother? It's calling us her sons. Because it was us that was led into captivity. So he couldn't be talking about anybody else except us.
Now from this time forward, speak not of beauty, and discourse not of gracefulness. Moreover, this is a good one. Moreover, you priests.
All right, I got to stop it right here, because you remember the video that I did not too long ago about there are no priests? Listen to this.
Moreover, you priests, take ye the keys of the sanctuary.
Take the keys of the sanctuary.
And cast them into the height of the heaven.
Cast them away. You won't need them.
And give them to the Most High, and say, guard your house yourself.
The Most High repossess your ritual rights. That video that I did saying, what? No priest? They thought I was stupid, that I didn't know what I was talking about. These people walking around here calling themselves royal priesthood are liars. This book just told you the Most High repossessed the keys.
Mhm. They said, guard your house yourself.
They guard your house yourself. I ain't got nothing to do with you. So is that still giving you priesthood? He's telling you you're no longer priestworthy.
For lo, we are found false stewards.
There you go. There you go. So when I tell you there are no priests today, there are no priests today. Not yet.
And you virgins, who weave fine linen and silk with gold of Ophir, take with haste, hurry up, all these things and cast them into the fire, and that it may bear them to him who made them, and the flames send them to him who created them, lest the enemy get possession of them. So everything that they had, that they made, they're giving it all back to the Most High. They're burning it, destroying it. It's no good to them anymore.
It's no good to them. It's no good to. This is what it means to go into captivity. You don't have them. This is why when we teach our lessons, especially when we tell you that there are feast days, there are some feast days that we can keep, but there are quite a few that we can't keep. Why? Because we need a priest. You cannot do the sacrifice. There's too many things that you have to have in order to do the sacrifice. Mainly one is the priest, and then there's the priestly garment, which he has to have. You can't just go make this stuff. You can't just go to the store and buy this stuff. This stuff is supernaturally composed of, and it was all taken away.
Okay, so I didn't give a synopsis of 10, but I'll just go over it one more time. It says, Jeremiah is told to submit to Babylon and join the other captives. Baruch faces the reality there is no reason for life as usual for the people or the land. Everything has ceased to exist.
Yeah, it's over. All right. This is what the revelation to him is. This is what the Most High is showing him. And then on top of all that, he goes a step further and shows him our days, the time we in now. And boy, I can't wait till we get to that one, because I'm gonna show y'all. Oh, keep going, baby. I'm gonna mess right here and spill it all.
So in chapter 11, Israel is showing that Israel was the head and Babylon was the tail. Now it is the opposite.
Israel
and the
is
Most High has removed his hand on Jerusalem and the righteous, that they are asleep, are better off. Those that are asleep are better off than we who are alive. So this is chapter 11. It says, moreover, I, Baruch, say this against you, Babylon. If you have prospered and Zion had dwelt in her glory, yet the grief to us had been great that you should be equal to Zion. That was their worst nightmare, is for them to be equal to Babylon. But now, lo, the grief is infinite and the lamentation measureless. For lo, you are prospered and Zion desolate. Who will be judged regarding these things? Or to whom shall we complain regarding that which has befallen us? Who's going to judge regarding it? There's not going to be anybody to judge. They're all going to be in captivity.
Yeah. And that's where we are right today.
Mm-hmm. So they can't complain either. O Most High, how have you borne it? Why? Why have you allowed it?
Why did you let this happen? That's what he's asking. Why did you let this happen?
Our fathers went to rest without grief, and lo, the righteous sleep in the earth in tranquility. So all of our forefathers, like Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, they have no idea of what conspired here.
The Most High took them mostly so that they wouldn't have to see this.
Mm-hmm.
And he calls it a peaceful sleep. And that's something else I want y'all to understand. A righteous Israelite death is not the same as an unrighteous Israelite's death. A righteous Israelite death is peaceful, is painless, and there is no confusion, there is no agony. It's just as simple as going to sleep. Even if somebody was ripping your arms off of your body, the Most High is not going to let you feel the pain. There was a prophet, I can't think of who it was, that was prophesying as they were ripping his body apart.
I think that's in Maccabees.
I believe. And he continued to prophesy as if though nothing was happening. He couldn't feel the pain. So when he finally exhausted, he just went to sleep. He never felt any pain. This is the same way it will be if any one of us loses our life in these coming events. They are coming. This is why you don't need to fear. The Most High says that if you obey me and you keep my laws, statutes, and commandments, which you can only find in the Torah, you have no need to fear. None.
So he's saying our fathers went to rest without grief, and
Yeah.
lo, the righteous sleep in the earth in tranquility.
Mm-hmm.
For they knew not this anguish, nor yet had they heard of that which had befallen us. Would that you had ears, would that you had ears, O earth. He's speaking to the earth. And that you had a heart, O dust, that you might go and announce to Sheol and say to the dead, blessed are you more than we who live.
The dead are more blessed than the living.
Mm-hmm. So in chapter 12, the land will now wait in its current state desolate until the consummation of times.
The consummation of time, that's very key.
Mm-hmm.
When y'all get a chance, do a little research on the consolation of time. Consummation of time.
So I'll read 12.
Chapter 12, okay.
But I will say this as I think, and I will speak against you, O land, which are prospering. The noonday does not always burn, nor do the rays of the sun constantly give light. Do not expect and hope that you will always be prosperous and rejoicing, and be not greatly uplifted and boastful. For assuredly in its own season shall the divine wrath awake against you, which now in long suffering is held in as it were by. So her long suffering is being held back.
You know, as it's being held back, it simply points to her children are gone. They're in captivity. And you know how a mother mourns for her child. This Mother Earth, this land is mourning for her sons and her daughters. We're in captivity. We're not with our mother, so to speak. And she wants her children back.
So he says, and when I had said these things, I fasted 7 days. Now, I'm in 13. And it came to pass after these things that I, Baruch, was standing upon Mount Zion, and lo, a voice came from the height and said unto me, stand upon your feet, Baruch, and hear the word of the Most High, because you have been astonished. I'll have to read that over again because I went too fast. Because you have been astonished at what has befallen Zion, you shall therefore be assuredly preserved to the consummation of the times, that you may be for a testimony. So he's telling Baruch that he's going to give him information because he's so amazed at what is occurring, what is happening, and he's just in unbelief.
Yeah.
So that if ever those prosperous, so that if ever those prosperous cities say, why has the Most High brought upon us this retribution? He's not talking about Jerusalem.
Who is he talking about? Read that again.
Zion.
Read that again.
So that if ever those prosperous cities say,
That's all those wicked nations who's been prospering off of our backs for centuries. Read it.
Okay, so that if ever those prosperous cities say, why has the Most High brought upon us this retribution?
Don't believe that I'm talking about, that he's talking about the other nations. Go to Jeremiah chapter 16 and verse 19. And it says, O Lord, thou art my strength and mine help and my refuge in the days of evil. To thee the Gentiles shall come from the end of the earth. And says, our fathers surely have inherited lies. That's who he's talking about. Listen, we had to pay, and we are paying for the sins that were created by our ancestors way back then. If we got to pay, they got to pay too. But you have heard them say, when they talk about reparations, what do they normally say? We wasn't back there then. We had nothing to do with that. That was our ancestors. I wouldn't have done that. Oh, but yes, that's why he says, and those like you. He's talking about your ancestors and your generations. That's who he's talking about.
Okay. And so he says unto them, you and those like you. Just mention that.
And those like you.
Say unto them, you and those like unto you shall, and those like you who shall have seen this evil. This is the evil and retribution which is coming upon you and upon your people.
Your people. Now, y'all notice something about the Most High. When he talks about Israel, what does he say? My people. But when he's talking about them, what does he say? Your people. Y'all make sure you get that distinguished. When he said my people, he's talking about us. When he says your people, he's talking about them.
So he says, this is the evil and retribution which is coming upon you and upon your people.
Payback.
In its destined time, that the nations may be thoroughly smitten.
That's them.
And then they shall be in anguish. And if they say at that time, for how long? You will say to them, you who have drunk the strained wine, drink ye also of its dregs. Dregs mean, that's dregs. It means most worthless part, the worst of the wine.
Wow.
Most worthless part. So also of its dregs, the judgment of the lofty one. Who is the lofty one? And it's in capital, L-O, capital, lofty one. The lofty one is the Most High.
High, the most lofty, the most high.
So the judgment of the lofty one, who has no respect of persons.
Okay, you have heard that in the New Testament. This is where they got it from. What does he mean by no respect of person? He's not going to distinguish the young generations from the old generations of the heathens of the other nations. They're all the same to him. So whatever this one did back 2,000 years ago, this one up here 2,000 years later is responsible.
Thank you, Jackie. We love you.
Ah, you just saw that?
Yeah.
She's been up there for about an hour now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So on this account, let's see. On this account, he had before time no mercy on his own sons.
Oh.
I'm talking about the Most High.
Now, that's ice falling out of the maker. So he's the Most High saying that, look, if I punish my own kids for their sins, what makes you think that I'm going to let you get away? And you're not even mine.
Okay, so he says on this account, he had before time no mercy on his own sons, but afflicted them as his enemies.
Yes, he punished us like we was the enemy.
Because they sinned. That was the reason why they sinned. And every time you see sin, it's related to Israel, not to the other nations.
That's
the
right.
other nations usually are doing evil.
That's because they were never given laws, statutes, or commandments. So if you don't have any laws, how can you break the law?
Yeah.
You just wicked.
Yeah.
And you wicked is what wicked does.
Yes.
You wicked.
Okay. Then therefore were they chastened that they might be sanctified. Whenever you chasten your children, it straightens them out.
Yeah. So if you don't whip your children, don't tell your children you love them. Sometimes a blister on that butt is the best thing could ever happen.
So, but now you peoples and nations, you are guilty because you have always trodden down the earth. And what do? They're constantly destroying
fracking, oil resources, mining, chemical spills, what is all this pollution, oil spills in the ocean. I mean, this is what they do. We haven't done that. We couldn't do it if we wanted to. We ain't got no ships. We ain't got no planes. What do we got? So who is he talking about? Them.
You are guilty because you have always trodden down the earth and used the creation unrighteously. Okay. Unrighteously. That means he's talking about the creation, us. We are his creation.
And he used us unrighteously. We built the countries.
Yes.
We built the cities. We built everything. Every nation on the planet that is at some status is because of us. Talk about free labor. We never got paid. If they were to pay us reparations, y'all, let me tell you why you're not going to get reparations. If they were to agree to pay the slave reparations, it would break the entire world. They don't have enough money. The whole world will go bankrupt. So they're not going to give you reparations.
Okay, so they're guilty of trotting down the earth and using his creation unrighteously.
Wow. Oh, I'm sorry, y'all. We just noticed that moon out the window, man.
And use the creation unrighteously. For I have always, the Most High have benefited them. I have always benefited you, and you have always been ungrateful for the benefits.
Look, he's telling those heathens, look, I gave y'all every chance under the sun. You benefited off of everything on my planet, and you didn't appreciate it not one time. But you can't say you didn't give us a chance. He gave you every opportunity. And what did you do? You chose unrighteous. So now comes payback. Payback is coming.
Okay, 14.
Chapter 14.
And I answered and said, Lo, you have shown me the method of the times, and that which shall alter these things. What will alter these things?
I got it. Give me some more.
Okay. So what will alter these things is the difference between the righteous and the unrighteous, the ones who sin and the well, let me go to 14. It says, and I answered and said, Lo, you have shown me the method of the times, and that which shall alter these things. And you have said unto me that the retribution which has been spoken of by you shall come upon the nations. And now I know that those who have sinned are many, and they have lived in prosperity and departed from the world, but that few nations will be left in those times, to whom those words shall be said which you did say about we have been told lies.
Right. What he's talking about right now, this very moment, Russia invading Ukraine, and before you know it, it's going to be China, North Korea, India, Syria, Iran, Iraq, and other nations coming after the U.S. Russia just threatened the U.S. Earlier today, 24 hours ago, maybe. So, yeah, the war is coming to America. Get ready, y'all. It's coming. There is no stopping this. This thing has started, and there will not be an ending until the Most High comes. So he's talking about these people, these nations that he's talking about, the few, these are going to be what's left after all of this devastation is done. There's going to be a few of those nations left, and they're going to ask, surely our forefathers lied.
So we're still in 14. For what advantage is there in this, or what evil worse than what we have seen befall us are we to expect to see?
Listen, some of these nations, this generation, speaking mainly of this generation today, some of these nations, Jackie speaks it to you, some of these young generations of nations, they don't know the real history because their ancestors never told them the truth. So they have been handed money down throughout their generations from their ancestors. And this money is blood money. It came off the backs of slaves, but they were never told. So they don't really understand what their forefathers did. So they don't feel like they were guilty. But these are the few nations that are left that the Most High is referring to. There's going to be a few of them left after they pretty much destroyed each other.
So he's basically asking what worse is going to happen to us, and what are they expecting to see? But again, he says, I will speak in your presence. What have they profited who had knowledge before you, and have not walked in vanity as the rest of the nations, and have not said to the dead? So he's talking about the righteous people who have lived before, and they had the knowledge about him.
Yeah.
And they didn't walk in the vanity of the other nations.
No, these are the ones that knew the Most High.
Mm-hmm.
They knew the Torah. They kept the Torah, and they never went to anybody else for advice or religious practices, or none of that. They always went to the Most High.
Yeah.
They never went anywhere else. So they kept the Torah. They didn't go to another book.
Well, they didn't even go to the dead.
They didn't go, and that's what they would have been doing.
Yeah.
When you go to the other nations, listen, the Most High breathed the spirit of life into Adam. That's our ancestor. Breathed the spirit of life. That made us the living. We were created upright. If we're the living, then who are the nations without the spirit of life breathed into them? They're the dead. If you're not in the Most High, you're spiritually dead. So when you ask any of them, or when you worship their gods, you are asking the dead and you are worshiping the dead.
So they have not said to the dead, give us life, but always feared you, and have not left your ways. So they never departed from the Most High's ways. And lo, this is what his problem is. This is what Baruch's problem of understanding what's going on. If they were walking in his ways, then lo, they have been carried off. Nor on their account have you had mercy on Zion. So the righteous was carried off, and even though they were righteous, he still destroyed Zion.
Yeah.
So he can't understand that.
Yeah.
And if others did evil, it was due Zion, that on account of the works of those who brought good works, she should be forgiven. Even though there was evil people living in Zion, there were still good people there.
There were good people there.
And should not be overwhelmed on account of the works of those who brought unrighteousness. So he's saying it should have overwhelmed the unrighteous, and the righteous should have been able to withstand and stay there. But it didn't happen that way.
No, it didn't.
Everybody had to go.
And that's the way the Most High does it. When Judah and Levi forced the kings to sin, the 10 tribes didn't force them. They didn't have anything to do with that. But they got punished too. They went into exile. They went way away. And they didn't have anything to do with that.
So, but who, O Most High, my God, will comprehend your judgment? Or who will search out the profoundness of your way? Or who will think out the weight of your path? Or who will be able to think out your incomprehensible counsel? Or who of those that are born has ever found the beginning or end of your wisdom?
Who can think like him?
For we have all been made like a breath. We couldn't do it. For as the breath ascends involuntarily and again dies, when you breathe, it's gone.
Yeah, that's breath.
So it is with the nature of men who depart not according to their own will. We don't know. We can't stop ourselves from dying.
No, we're going to do what he programmed us to do.
And know not what will befall them in the end. We don't know how we're going to end.
We don't know our
lives.
end. We don't know what our end is. This is why it's so important to understand that there is only one book given to Israel, and it's the Torah. And all the way through this book, you will hear nothing but Torah. You will never hear anything about another book. There is no other book. He never authorized any other book. This is why he never mentioned another book. Wouldn't he do that? If he had another book, wouldn't he tell us? I mean, what kind of parent would you be if you didn't tell your children how to find their way home in case they got lost? What kind of parent would you be?
So for the righteous justly hope for the end, and without fear depart from this habitation. So if you have fear of the Most High and trust in the Most High, you don't have nothing to worry about dying or anything.
And I know dying is a scary thing, man. I can't remember how far back it was when I stopped being scared to die. But I thought I was losing my mind because I would challenge any situation. I mean, I didn't fear, I still don't fear no man. But dying became something to me like a part of life. The way I look at death is the beginning of life. Right now, I'm really not living. When I die, I believe that's when I start to live. But it depends on where I wake up. If I wake up on the right side, I got a good life, and it's just now starting to take place. But if I wake up on the wrong side, then I'm waking up to a bad thing. So dying is not the end, it's the beginning. When this body dies, your life is just now about to begin.
So if you're righteous and you're following the Torah, the laws, statutes, and commandments, you have nothing to fear.
Nothing to fear.
Departing from this habitation, because they have with you, they have with the Most High, you, a store of works preserved in treasuries. On this account also, these without fear leave this world, and trusting with joy, they hope to receive the world which you have promised them. That's the promise. When you die in righteousness and in the Torah, you are hoping for a better life and a very good world.
And
it was promised to you.
It was a promise. Mosiah is not slack on his promise.
But as for us, woe to us who also are now shamefully entreated, and at that time look forward only to evils. So he's thinking that because they're alive now and they're going into captivity or have to serve time in Babylon, it's a lot of evil stuff that's going to be happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's not looking forward to that.
They're living in the filth. Nebuchadnezzar's Babylon was filth. And they, Israel, even though they went into captivity in slavery because of their disobedience, they knew what filth was. Then they knew what cleanliness was. They didn't sin because they didn't know better. They knew better.
So, but you know accurately, he's talking to the Most High, but you know accurately what you have done by means of your servants. For we are not able to understand that which is good as you are our Creator. But again, I will speak in your presence, O Most High, my God, when of old there was no world with its inhabitants. You did devise and speak a word, and forthwith the works of creation stood before you. And you did say that you would make for your world man as the administrator of your works.
That was us.
That it might be known that he was by no means made on account of the world, but the world on account of him.
Yeah. The world was made for Israel, not the other way around. And nobody else on this planet can make that claim. Only you. Only the chosen. This is on your account.
So here it says, and now I see that as for the world which was made on account of us, lo, it abides. It's still here.
Hold on 1 second. Anthony Johnson said he read Obadiah. Oh yeah, Obadiah is good. And Edom is more in Obadiah. And he said he watched the water.
Oh, that's good.
You watch that. That is good. Listen, if any of you have not seen the video by Stu Peters, go find it. You're going to have to go to bitchute.com, type in Stu Peters, watch the water. Y'all need to know what's going on. You need to understand there was no COVID. And I can't say it because I'm live on this thing, but go watch it.
So he says, lo, the earth abides, but we, on account of whom it was made, are departing. We're leaving.
We're leaving.
What's up with that? If the earth is staying, how come we can't stay?
Yeah, because we broke every law that they gave us.
Okay, I'm in chapter 15. And the Most High answered and said unto me, you are rightly astonished regarding the departure of man. He's so worried about why man is departing. But you have not judged well regarding the evils of which befall those who sin. He's not considering that there was a lot of his people that were sinning, the evils that they were doing.
You know, Baruch reminds me of me. When I first started teaching on YouTube, man, I tried to reel in everybody. And I knew that he'd already said, hey, 2/3 ain't gonna make it. But I wanted to try to get everybody. And Baruch is saying, look at all these people. He's trying to get everybody. It ain't gonna happen. It ain't but 1/3 of us gonna walk through those kingdom gates.
So he says, and as regards what you have said, that the righteous are carried off and the impious are prospered. The impious are
the impious.
Impious is no respect to God.
Yeah, totally disrespect.
And as regards what you have said, man knows not your judgment. On this account, hear, and I will speak to you. And listen, and I will cause you to hear my words. Man would not rightly have understood my judgment unless he had accepted the Torah.
The New Testament.
The Torah.
The New Testament? What? So what is it? What are we supposed to accept?
The instructions that he gives in the Torah.
Why didn't he say the New Testament?
There is no New Testament. Unless he had accepted the Torah and I had instructed him to understanding.
He can't understand nothing if you don't accept the Torah. This is why the Christians cannot understand. No, I don't care how much you put up in their face. I don't care how big block letters you put. They can't get it because they're not in the Torah. They're in the New Testament. And in Deuteronomy 32:17, it says, for you worship a newly up God, a God that come newly up. Guess what? The New Testament was written around 50 to 100 AD. Huh? What does that tell you? That's pretty doggone new.
Yeah.
So he was telling you then, you're going to be worshiping this brand new God that they created out of thin air with this big old wet diaper on and hanging off of a stick.
So I'm still in 15.
Yeah.
Verse 6. But now, because he transgressed wittingly, yes, just on this ground that he know thereof, he shall be tormented. So what he's talking about is that Israel, if they do not accept the Torah and they transgress it knowingly on just that ground of not following the Torah, he will be tormented. And as regards what you did say touching the righteous, that on account of them has this world come, so also again shall that which is to come, what the Most High has in his back pocket, paradise, so also again shall that which is to come on their account. It's coming on their account. It's coming on the righteous account.
Brother Johnson says Jeremiah 31 and 31 through 34 Hasn't happened yet. No, it hasn't. Uh, there has not been a new covenant yet. There won't be a new covenant until the Most High returns. Since the Most High haven't returned yet, you're right. It has not happened yet.
For this world is to them, to us, is to us a strife and a labor with much trouble. And that accordingly, which is to come, will be a crown with great glory. So what the Most High has for us in the future will be a crown with great glory. Okay, going to 16. And I answered and said, O Most High, my God, lo, the years of this time are few and evil. And who is able in this little time to acquire that which is measureless? And I think I wrote a little note on 16.
Knowing you, you probably did. Y'all, I got to tell y'all, I'm so blessed to have a wife that loves the Most High the way she does and helps me with the research, because a long time ago, it was me and my eyes are, and it was tough, but I was still with it. But she has been a blessing, and I know she's a blessing to y'all. So I just want to thank the Most High for it.
So in verse 16, when he asked, the years of this time are few and evil, and who is able in his little time to acquire that which is measureless? So I wrote up here in 16, who is able to learn everything in such a short time?
And
that's basically what it is.
We have a very short time.
So in 17, it says, I just wrote this, it's not about the length of time or of a few years. It's to get it right, but it's about disobeying the law, statutes, and commandment that brings death. So in 17, the Most High is explaining why things are going to go quickly.
Oh yeah, speaking of quickly. Is that before we get to 20 about how time speeds up?
Yes.
Good. All right.
And the Most High answered and said unto me, with God Almighty, account is not taken of much time nor a few years.
Listen to this time.
For what did it profit Adam that he lived 930 years and then transgressed that which he was commanded? Therefore, the multitude of time that he lived, it did not profit him, but brought death and cut off the years of those who were born from him. Or wherein did Moses suffer loss, in that he lived only 120 years? And inasmuch as he was subject to him, who formed him, inasmuch as he was serving the Most High, he was serving the one who formed him, brought the Torah to the seed of Jacob, and lighted a lamp for the nation of Israel. And I answered and said, he that lighted has taken from the light. Who lighted? It was the Most High. And the Most High is doing what? He's taking it. And there are but few that have imitated him. But those many whom he has lighted have taken from the darkness of Adam and have not rejoiced in the light of the lamp. And he answered and said unto me, wherefore at that time he appointed for them a covenant and said, now he's saying that he appointed a time of covenant. That was with Moses.
Yes.
Behold, I have placed before you life and death.
I have placed before you. Listen, that New Testament book didn't just happen. He put it there. The Most High says, I bring evil upon the wicked. That New Testament is evil. But you have before you the book of life and the book of death.
Mhm.
You choose this day whom you will serve.
Mhm. And he called heaven and earth to witness against them. And you guys have to understand that this earth, the trees,
The grass, the dirt
everything that's living
is
are
a
a
witness.
witness.
They're all witnesses, either for you or against you. You can't, this is why you cannot hide. This is why when you're in the dark and you think nobody sees you, somebody sees you. Maybe it's a cockroach, maybe a mosquito. Somebody sees you. And it all reports back to him. We have very little regard for an ant crawling on our floor. We stomp it. You just kill a messenger. Believe it or not. Y'all may think I'm crazy, but I'm telling you what I know. You kill a messenger. Everything on this planet, everything around this planet, even the stars report to him. That's why you can't go nowhere under no circumstances and not be seen.
There's that phrase, there's nothing new under the sun.
There's nothing new under the sun.
Okay, so
We serve an awesome God, y'all. I'm telling you. Our Father is much bigger than their daddy.
yeah. For Moses knew that his time was but short, but that heaven and earth endured always. But after his death, they sinned, Israel sinned and transgressed, though they knew that they had the Torah reproving them.
What? The what?
The Torah.
Now, see what I'm saying, y'all? Remember I asked y'all in the beginning of this to write down how many times you heard the Torah mentioned, and then write down how many times you heard this other book? Where are we now? I lost count. Yeah.
Okay, and they had the Torah reproving them, and the light in which nothing could err. In the light in which nothing could err. That's only wisdom.
Wisdom is in the earth. Wisdom is in the trees. Wisdom is in the grass.
And she's only in people with right.
It's only in that is righteous. The grass don't sin. It don't know how. It's the people, us, that has been taught right from wrong. And we choose wrong or we choose right.
So as we said, that everything is a witness, and the light in which nothing could err, also the universe, the heavens, which testify.
See, told you.
And me.
And the Most High.
And me.
So you covered. No, I mean, you can't get away. You can't hide. Turn the lights off. Still see you.
Now regarding everything that is, it is I that judge. But do not take counsel in your soul regarding these things, nor afflict yourself because of those which have been.
Don't distress.
For now it is the consummation of time that should be considered. You've got to understand there's going to be a gathering of the end, whether it is of a business or prosperity or shame, and not the beginning thereof. Not going way back what he thought way back at the beginning when it was primeval silence.
That's what Baruch thought.
Yeah. Because if a man be prospered in his beginnings and shamefully entreated in his old age, he forgets all the prospering that he had. And again, if a man is shamefully entreated in his beginnings, and at his end is prospered, he remembers not again his evil entreatment.
Let me put that in simple layman's terms. Easy come, easy go. If you start out in the beginning getting all this good stuff easily, it just comes to you, you really have no regard for that stuff because you didn't have to work hard to get it. But if you start out in grief and you work so hard to obtain whatever little bit you get, when you get to the end, you will appreciate it. You'll remember and you'll hold on to it. So we can read that one more time.
Because if a man be prospered in his beginnings and shamefully entreated in his old age, he forgets all the prosperity that he had. And again, if a man is shamefully entreated in his beginnings and at his end is prospered, he remembers not again his evil entreatment.
That's right.
And again, hearken, though each one had prospered all that time, all the time from the day on which death was decreed against those who transgressed, and in his end was destroyed. In vain would have been everything. So now we're on 20.
We're on 20. This is the last chapter, but there's a piece of meat on this one here that I want to share with you when we get to it. So,
okay. Therefore, behold, the days come, and the time shall hasten more than the former. Hasten, that means they'll come faster.
Have you ever heard or even said yourself, man, this week went by fast, or it's already 6 o'clock in the evening? Time has speeded up. Even though your clock ticks minute by minute, hour by hour, time has speeded up.
Yes.
And here it is. He's telling you back then, he's telling you what I'm going to do. This is what's going to happen.
And the seasons shall speed on more than those that are past, and the years shall pass more quickly than the present years. Therefore have I now taken away Zion, that I may the more speedily visit the world in its season.
Oh boy.
That's the reason why he's taking it away. Because it's just, the Most High is going to be coming sooner.
He's coming sooner than people think. And this is what he's telling you. I speeded time up so that I would not violate my laws, the things that I put in place, but at the same time, I'm going to get there a little quicker than I planned. So we don't, listen, Most High is not playing no games, y'all. He gave us the Torah. Shalom, Dickens, shalom. The Most High is not playing no games. He gave us a book. It is the only book that he gave us. He never tells us to go to any other book. He never told any other prophets to go to any other book. He don't know, these prophets don't know nothing about no JC. They never heard of him. They never mentioned him. And none of the prophecies they ever did was prophesying JC. I've done lessons on this, proving with scripture beyond any doubt that it was not JC that was being prophesied, but it was Hezekiah. I proved it. And do you know I've had these Christians come to my channel and tell me JC is the only way. You can't get to the Father unless you go through him.
So now that we know that he's planning on visiting the world sooner than later, now therefore hold fast in your heart everything that I command you, and seal it in the recesses of your mind. And then I will show you the judgment of my might and my ways, which are unsearchable. Go therefore and sanctify yourself 7 days, and eat no bread, drink no water, nor speak to anyone. And afterwards come to the place, and I will reveal myself to you, and speak true things with you. And I will give you commandment regarding the method of the times, for they are coming, and tarry not.
Don't waste your time. That's in chapter 20, y'all. And I tell you, this is the hard part for us when we do live, and that's the end. But if I stay any longer, I'm going to give away the next lesson. And man, listen, y'all stay with this. It's 5 parts. And it's going to get better with each 20 chapters. Like I said earlier, those of you that are caught up in the land of your captivity, fear not. If you're following this law, statutes, and commandments, if you're staying in the Torah only, you don't have to worry. We found the answers. You don't have to worry. The ones that are in the New Testament, quoting New Testament scripture, pleading the blood of JC, in JC's name and all that mess, y'all got something to worry about. So, without giving up any more meat and potatoes for the next 20, we're going to say shalom.
Shalom.
And we love you all.
We love you guys.
See ya.